Today we'll be talking about what to expect at the Revillagigato archipelago. Now I'm probably not saying that right, so me, like most people, call it Socorro, named for its largest island. Socorro Island is nicknamed Mexico's Little Galapagos, and as you might assume, has many comparable animals to the other three major diving destinations in the area: the Galapagos in Ecuador, Cocos Island in Costa Rica, and Malpelo in Colombia. Socorro Island is often the cheapest and easiest one to get to from Sacramento. Like most Pacific islands, these islands were formed by volcanic activity. Here's San Benedicto the last time it erupted. The four islands in the chain are Clarion, Roca Partida, San Benedicto, and of course Socorro Island itself. I don't have any photos of Clarion Island because dive boats only go there on much longer trips. So here's a picture of Socorro Island, followed by 3 pictures of San Benedicto Island. And finally, we have my absolute favorite place to dive in the whole world, Roca Partida, or the Parted Rocks. It's probably the smallest island you'll ever see, about the size of a football field, but an absolutely amazing place to dive. So enough about the islands, now let's get to our actual trip. So most of us had stayed the night before at the La Marina Inn. We had some lunch together before boarding. The La Marina is about 100 yards from where the Valentina actually docks. We got on board, quickly got underway, and headed away from Cabo and towards the Socorro Island. We then did what I like to call meet and eat, which is where we sit and talk for the next day and a half as we motor out to the spot. And then we finally do arrive. Let's get into the diving. So it's highly recommended that you have an advanced open water, whether it's from PADI or SSI, doesn't really matter. Due to the fact that this is going to be boat diving, you're going to have to climb into the zodiacs, often in heavy current. You're going to have to do negative descents. You're going to have to worry about heavy currents. You're going to definitely have to worry about this surge here if you watch this for a second. And then obviously be able to do a safety stop in open blue water, and then be able to climb back into the zodiacs, and then come back to the big ship and have a snack and do it again. I just want to add my last little bit here before we get into the animals. I highly recommend taking a couple dives, drop the camera, just swim with the animals. I can't tell you how many times I get asked by other divers who are taking photos what I'm doing, and I'll give you the example of this photo here. I'm flying with a manta. Now, of course, to each their own, but to me, I have to remember while diving, this is fun, and just be a kid sometimes. So the diving season in Socorro is between November and July. You're going to see giant mantas the entire time. You're going to see bottlenose dolphins the entire time. November, December, May, June, July, you're going to see whale sharks. Humpback whales come from January through April. There is some bait ball season, May through July. There are 10 species of sharks that are pretty much all year round. So the sharks include silkies, oceanic whitetips, silver tips, black tips, Galapagos, my favorite tiger sharks, and then obviously the huge schools of hammerheads that you see at Socorro, as well as the other diving destinations I mentioned. And the temperature that you're going to dive is averaging between 70 and 80 degrees. I think we had mostly like 79 degrees almost every day. And we did get lucky on the crossing and see a couple of humpback whales while they were breaching. I did not get to see any underwater, but we did see a couple at Roca Partida. We just could not get them underwater for whatever reason. They just didn't want to come near us. So now, before we get into the whales and the sharks and all the other big stuff, I just want to show you guys a couple clips of the little stuff. I am not a biologist. I don't know the names of all these things, but they're pretty much the same. For all the Pacific Islands through most of the Caribbean, you're going to see the same kind of stuff. Little yellow guys here sitting, eating. Like I said, I'm not a biologist. I don't know much about most of them. I just know sometimes it's fun to slow down on the big dives, look at the little guys, enjoy them for a minute. The filefish, I always love these guys. I don't actually know 100% that's what they're called. Just love them. These little puffers, swimming around with these guys. There were so many of them on this trip. It just, I don't know. Again, it's fun to look away from the big stuff for a minute and just kind of focus on the little guys floating around down here. Now on to one of my favorites, these little puffer fish with the black and white spots. Absolutely in love with them. Don't know why. I just love finding them. I mean, they're everywhere, but I just love them. Of course, we found some lobsters. Last trip we had octopus. I didn't see any this time, but Socorro does have octopus. And then during your safety stops, look around you. It's fun to find, just a jellyfish floating around, just to watch them. And then whatever in the world this guy is, it's so much fun to just see these little guys floating around. Again, it's better than just staring off into nothing during your 3-minute safety stop. You might as well enjoy yourself. I don't know if you ever had a fish mad at you, and as a non-biologist, maybe that's not even what he does, but when this guy puffs at me, it sure looks like he's telling me to go away. So one of the other huge stars of the show out at Socorro is the dolphins. In this instance, the mother actually brought her young one up to visit us and see what we were about. It's really cool when they're this friendly. Many places that you go, the dolphins are kind of standoffish. At Socorro, they want to see you, they want to know what you are. They'll almost always come right up to you. If you have good buoyancy and you stay slow moving in the water, you don't try to swim after them, but let them come up to you. They will come right up to you. In this instance, a friend of mine sent me the video. This is actually me, and I think the dolphin wanted to be touched. I did not touch it because I have a pretty strict rule, but I think that's actually why she leaves. I think she swims off because I wouldn't touch her. All right, now on to the white tips. So the white tips are everywhere in the Socorro Island area. You're going to see them on 99% of your dives. It's pretty rare that you don't see them. But mostly, my favorite place to view white tips is at Roca Partida. So at Roca Partida, you're actually going to see them stacked up on the walls. So they actually stack up kind of by size. You'll be looking along the wall, and there's this, there's just hundreds of them everywhere. On this trip, though, what was interesting was, I don't know if they were breeding or feeding or what, but they were not on the wall. They were all out swimming. They were all free swimming at Roca. And so at Roca Partida, we were swimming around the corner on one of the ends of the island. Again, it's only about the size of a football field, and at both ends are heavy currents. So we were swimming around the corner, and to get out of the current, we kind of popped up in this, I'm going to jokingly call it a sharknado. We showed up, and they were, like I said, whether they were eating, whether they were breeding, I have no idea what exactly they were doing, but for whatever reason, they were just all off. They were all around us, and you were surrounded from as high as you could see to as low as you could see, and in every direction, just white tips. And they're not a dangerous shark, so they're a lot of fun to be around. Not that any sharks are dangerous, but they're not in any way dangerous. They're little puppy dogs, so you can kind of feel pretty confident just being in a group of them. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. You'll notice we look up. It's up above you. It's below you. I'm trying to see what other videos are in this stack. And again, looking straight up and seeing that, like I said, everywhere you look is just full of life. One of the beauties of Socorro, you're never going to look in a direction and not see something alive. Oh yeah, in the middle of all of this, you'll also notice black tips, silver tips. It's sometimes because of the visibility on this trip, it was hard to tell who all was around us, but you'll notice all these white tips moving, and then you'll look off into the distance, and there's somebody quite large moving, moving nearby. Um, Generally silver tips, but again, you never really know. So let's go ahead and get to one of the stars of the show here, the scalloped hammerhead. You'll notice from Rick's videos that they are coming pretty close. On almost any dive that you see them, you can get pretty close to them. Socorro, it was kind of interesting. When we were at Malpelo, they wanted to stay farther away from us. Here at Socorro, they actually come up and kind of check you out. Again, they're at Malpelo, they're at Galapagos, they're at Cocos Island. They're kind of all over the map of the I'm going to call them Eastern Pacific Islands. As you're looking at them, though, one of the things that always interests me is how everything kind of coexists here. You see all the fish with these hammers, with this silky coming through it all, and there's no predation. It's one of those interesting things. when you come to some of these like cleaning station type places and there's no predation in front of you, it's very interesting. So I don't know, I guess I'm just easily amused by those kind of things. You can watch some of these videos where we're out kind of more in the blue, and they'll, I don't want to say sneak up on you, but you'll kind of look around and realize there was one coming up on your back very, very quickly. So here in this video, here in a second, I think I'm going to swing around. I have to remember which video it is. But I'll swing around here in a second, and there'll be another one kind of coming up on my back. Here it is right here. And you look back, and he turns, of course, right as you turn. Then you have when you find the whole school. And when you find the whole school, it is amazing. And because the visibility isn't as good as my last trip, they kind of come out of the nothing. And so you'll be looking into the blue, and out of nowhere, you just see this appear. And as many as you can count in every direction. I've had multiple people ask me how many there were. I have no idea. I just know there were a lot. Felt like there was all of them. So there you go. There's the hammerheads. On to the absolute star of Socorro, the giant mantas. So the oceanic mantas here reach up to a 20-foot wingspan, and I could get lost just watching them slowly soar around us while we dive. Socorro is not the only place in the world that you can dive with giant mantas, but Socorro is like nowhere else in the world for its manta encounters. This is the only dive location I have been to or even heard of where the mantas come and seek out your attention. If you can be still and relaxed and have good buoyancy and like I said, remain relaxed in the water, they will come up to you. They love to make slow passes while looking you in their eyes. It's a very intimate and breathtaking experience. The other thing you'll notice is that they like to hang out right above you. I've heard it said that they love the bubbles on their skin, although I have no proof of that, but that seems to be the case. They love to hang out right above us. So one more thing that I'll add on this is when you're in the water and one of these things makes a slow pass right in front of you like this, and it's looking in your eye and you're looking back, it's magic. It's absolutely magic. I feel like I am so blessed to be allowed to be in these places with these animals. They want to come above you, they want to go below you, they want to come right next to you. They really are curious animals, and I've been diving a lot of places, but not many places where the animals are so interactive as Socorro. They really, really want to come up close to you. You'll notice if you look around in some of these videos, as you're looking from side to side, you'll see there's a manta in front of a diver, but then you'll look over to another side and there's another manta with another diver. Most dives, you have multiples. You have 4 or 5 of them. Again, the visibility was not as good this time as last time, so I could see more of them, but obviously if you can see farther, you can see more. So I don't think there was less life, I just think we could see less distance. But you will look, again, in different directions, and above every diver seems to be a manta. The only exception to that is when some other large animal's next to you. I love how these things move in the water. Oh my god, this video. So we're holding on, I sarcastically say for dear life, trying to stay afloat in the current and not get swept away. And how beautiful and graceful the manta is just gently swimming through the water. It's always funny to me when you watch one of the animals and how they can move in current versus how slow and ridiculous we are in current. Here's actually a great example of the manta coming above you for the bubbles. Yep, like I said, everywhere you look. They're just all around you on most of these dives. I don't know, one of my favorite animals in all the places I go. So one of the things I didn't mention yet is they do offer a land tour. So some of the people on board decided they wanted to drive over, and you can't actually step foot on the island. You can look at it and get close to it, and they can tell you about it, and it's kind of neat. And then like that, it's time to dry the gear and take the long voyage back. So for those of you who don't know about Socorro, it takes about 26 hours to get there. And because we had some weather pop up, it took us 38 hours to get home. So it was a very long voyage back and some interesting conditions, but it was a lot of fun. And I'll leave you with this photo of all of us saying goodbye. It was really fun to meet everybody, and it was a wonderful trip. I hope those of you who are watching this get a chance to go someday. I think it should be at the top of your diving bucket list.